Crypto here with one of my compatriots and a good friend of the channel from on media, Charles. Charles, what was your last name again?
Sprain like the ankle injury.
Okay, Charles Sprain. Anyway, let's get right into the topic because a lot of people want to know about Kaspa. I'm learning about Kaspa too, and I've been hearing way too much about it in the media the past couple of days. I've heard things like it's the future of crypto and that it actually should be a top five cryptocurrency project. And it just went past Filecoin, I believe, which is one of my holdings a while back. I think I
Wow,
don't know.
cool.
That's what I saw on Twitter.
Wow, okay.
But no, but it's a major project, and it really should be a at least a top 20 project. So just like quickly, so you're explaining to like a little Rottweiler, a 5-year old, what is Casper technology and what makes it special?
Yeah, so Kaspa, it's a first mover to what's called block DAG, which is a directed acrylic graph blockchain framework, right? So even seasoned people in crypto or Bitcoin, they may not fully grasp what blockchain sequencing is, but blockchain's linear, right? Like linked chains. Like here's a link, here's a link,
Like
here's
one block timestamp, next block timestamp, next
yeah,
block like a chain of history timestamps.
in one line like train cars, right? So easy to track, straightforward, but nowadays arguably inefficient. On Bitcoin network, it can take time because of that. Uh,
And expensive.
yeah, because of that linear progression. So what Caspa's done is just it's branched out from that linear progression into like a DNA strand of connections, where each individual node is securing the network so that when you do have your blockchain communication, it's intra block, right? So everything's communicating at once more effectively than in a linear chain. So
So it's
that's
also it's a mix of. Are you saying that it's basically a mix of proof of work and like a consensus mechanism as well?
yeah, the Nakamoto consensus.
Which Bitcoin doesn't have, correct? Is that the differentiating factor?
I'd have to buff up on that one. I'm just kind of paraphrasing the Caspa founder. But I mean, this guy's been cited in the Ethereum white paper, um, and I believe XRP, uh, Solana. He was cited in that one. I think I
He was
know
cited in
he.
the Solana project as well. So Ripple cited him and Solana cited him as well. This is before Casper was created.
At least one of those two. I know the big one is ETH there, and then at least one or two other of the top 10, 15 projects. He's been cited. He's a titan as far as blockchain research and development goes.
So
And
basically, what you're saying is that this is basically like Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum. Well, at least Bitcoin, Ethereum 2.0 or 3.0, you could almost say, right? Because first you had
right,
Bitcoin, but you couldn't build smart contracts on it. But then
right,
you have Casper, which you can do a lot more on it. Is that what you're saying? That it's basically just like a better form of Ethereum? But it's like
as,
a Bitcoin Ethereum hybrid, but better.
right. As soon as the smart contracts release this summer, certainly so. I've been calling Caspa Bitcoin 3.0 for about a year now for some of the reasons you just got at. And ultimately, that the founder, Yonatan Somplinsky, um, his vision, his goal in fair launching this thing back in November 21, is to fully realize the peer-to-peer electronic cash vision of Bitcoin. Because
So just want to make a note there. You and I were talking offline. It was launched in November 2021. This was basically at the tail end of the last bull market cycle, and it was the year after the previous halving. So this is the first halving that Casper has experienced. Sorry about that. I don't want to cut you off, but I just wanted to make that clear.
right, right, and we can get more into halvings, I think, maybe sooner or later.
Oh,
Uh,
by the way,
yeah,
hi to Thiago and Darius, no, we just started, brother. But continue, bro.
Yeah, we
Darius is
just got
also one of
started.
our community members, by the way, for World Blockchain Capital, based out of the tri-state area. But yeah,
Oh,
go ahead,
awesome.
continue. I'm
Yeah,
Casper,
I need
brother.
to.
And also, I just
I
want to
need
make
to.
sure it's very clear. I'm learning, so if I'm going to be listening a lot, just guys know that I'm learning as well. Because I'm a big fan of Charles, and I'm investing in Casper because I'm investing in him. Like that's the reason why. You guys don't do what you want. Don't invest because I'm investing. Do your own research, but feel free to ask some questions. Go ahead, Charles. Sorry, apologies.
Yeah, questions are very welcome, guys. And thanks for being here, guys. But yeah, it's a lot to digest, and I've been deeply integrated like as a Caspa maxi since the start of this year. Okay, so I do like to think I'm a resource. You could say I'm a top analyst in Caspa. It's the majority of the charting I track,
And
and it's
you also hold a good amount, right? You're a top holder, aren't you? A top 20 holder in the project or hodler
not.
rather?
No, no, I'm not top. I'm not that big on it. I'm not Mr. Big Shot. I don't come from money, but let's say I'm maximally exposed with cash.
Yeah, let's be very clear. We are very broke, and we have no money. We don't even have bank accounts. At least I don't.
Well,
Yeah,
I
so
I
we gotta make it very clear, right? And I am talking from planet Mars, and Charles here is talking from Pluto.
uh,
Let's talk about proof of work, right? Because I told you this a few times, and I think you agree with me. A lot of projects are going towards because they want to be carbon neutral, the green energy revolution. They want to go towards more of a proof of stake concepts, kind of like Ethereum migrated from proof of work, apologies, to proof of stake. And it basically, in my opinion, that's why it's been doing really poorly since the migration. And they also screwed a lot of people that mine Ethereum. Ethereum was cheaper to mine than Bitcoin. People were making a living off of that. And they screwed a lot of people over. So Casper proof of work mechanism. Can you explain in the context of just Casper alone why it's superior to Bitcoin proof of work? I know you already did that, but can you explain a bit further why you think proof of work is the way to go?
Yeah, the big one there is scalability, right? Can Bitcoin scale effectively? And then if you're going to use it as a cash transfer mechanism, you have to compare something like Bitcoin to traditional systems like Visa, right? Where Visa is very cheap to send. The middleman fee on transacting on Visa is something like cents, not very much at all. Whereas like the traditional Bitcoin transaction is can be fair. It can be extremely expensive, to be honest. It can be hundreds. It can
Bro,
be thousands.
expensive, like really bad. We both send money in Bitcoin. It's not even worth it if it's under $5. It'll take like $3 or something.
Pretty much my feelings as well on that one. So with that said, scalability is an issue for Bitcoin, right? If anyone wants to be, maximally invested in Bitcoin in like a developing country or like they're like a young kid, broke college student, like, are you gonna go buy a Bitcoin for 100 grand? Probably not, and you're not going to be able to really sell or exchange it very easily because those fees will be steep for you.
Okay,
Whereas,
let me ask a follow up question on this. I like this back and forth. I think it's more entertaining. Okay, so right now, Caspa's is not in the top 20 yet. It will be. Let's be honest. Not financial advice. Do your own research. What if one day, just what if, Bitcoin and Casper had the same exact market cap? I think let's just say Bitcoin, for the conversation's sake, it's at 2 trillion right now. What
mhm,
if Casper were to go to 2 trillion market cap as well? Would it have the same issues as well? Would it get cheaper? Would it get more expensive? Sorry to send. Would it be slower, or does it have better technology in the sense that no matter how it scales, it's still going to be much more inexpensive and more
that's
efficient than Bitcoin?
That's what's really exciting about the technical fundamentals, because right now, as we speak, there's a Kaspa testnet. It's a public testnet that's just been released. That's actively processing network transactions at 10 blocks per second. Bitcoin, for reference, is 1 block per 10 minutes, I believe.
Which is why
Uh,
it makes it so slow.
Yeah, so what what that really means is uh like transactions finalize as we speak at 1 block per second on Caspa network, which is about a second
Okay, so
for.
if I were to send you a Bitcoin right now, it probably finalized. Let's be realistic. Unless I use a Lightning network or something crazy, a layer two, it's gonna
Mhm.
take it like maybe anywhere between realistically a half hour to an hour. And if there's a lot of trading going back and forth, it might take a couple of hours. It might even take a
Mhm.
few days, if enough people are trading Bitcoin. Does Caspa have that issue?
No, not at all. Actually processed 20 million transactions in 24 hours with no outages.
Really? With no
Yeah, yeah,
outages?
yeah, no outages during that on the base network.
This is huge. That's not that. The only other time that's happened was with Solana, and Solana had like a various outages.
Yeah,
So that's insane. So
it,
you're sure it processed how many? Can you say that again? How many in what time frame?
20 million in about, maybe 25 hours. It was essentially 24.
So
Yeah.
basically a million transactions an hour,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
and they were
Because
going through pretty efficiently. They weren't like taking like 3 days, obviously, to go. It was happening like in 3 minutes each transaction or
oh
something
no,
crazy
way,
like that.
way faster than that. The lag from so you gotta consider, like, okay, even when Bitcoin gets congested, it can take about 10 times as longer, like an hour, right? So it was the same thing for Caspa. It took maybe 10 seconds maximum because I was very active on the network that same day. For me, it took up to 10 seconds that day, and that's before we upgrade to 10 blocks per second. That will
Dude,
not be an issue
that's
soon.
insane because again, that's the main reason people don't use in proof in the world of proof of work currencies. That's a major selling point for Casper versus Bitcoin as an actual payment system. So I want to go into the next topic. So I have a friend who's really big into decentralized projects, right? So why
Mhm.
is your project like the most decentralized cryptocurrency out there?
Um, well, you have to consider the aspect of the security that proof of work provides, in terms of long-term decentralization and continued decentralization, because a network needs to be actively expanding to be increasingly decentralized. So, with that caveat noted, um, you know, Caspa it's right up there with, like, I believe Litecoin has about the same amount of holdings within the top 10 holders wallets. For reference, Caspa's got 12% held in the top 10 holder wallets. Solana sits at about 11%, and Ethereum 40%, Bitcoin 5%, right? So Caspa has some way to go to get to that level of extreme decentralization Bitcoin has, but it has been different market conditions. Bitcoin really didn't even have centralized exchanges big time until 2013, so that's a big part of that
But
difference.
I want to. My brother just walked by the way, and he was like, "Cast me," smiled at me. I think he's one of the biggest miners in the Northeast for any cryptocurrency. He was mining Ethereum. Then when he transferred, migrated over to proof of stake, he lost. Unfortunately, he lost that. I think he started mining Casper for a while. So I want to ask Cardano. Let's compare it to Cardano specifically.
Mhm.
Cardano's. You think Cardano or Casper is the most decentralized project? I'm not sure if I asked that already. Which one do you
Yeah,
think is more?
Cardano is about, like, it's similar to Bitcoin. It's like 5 or 6 or so percent, medium single digits in the top 10 wallets by percentage held. However, like, long-term viability, I don't see Cardano coming out with big updates or like getting big attention in the news
But
other
could you say
than.
that's because it's decentralized, right? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Could you say that's because it's decentralized and nobody can update the code because no one person can change it without forking it? Is that a possibility or no? Am I looking at this the wrong way?
Mm, I think it's a piece of the puzzle. I just think that it has its niche within proof of stake, and I see it becoming more centralized because of the US's, well, Trump's verbal or like true social commitment to uh to holding it in a national reserve. Like that guarantees it's going to become
So,
more
so is
centralized.
Caspa made in the U.S. or is it not made in the U.S.?
Yeah, so good, great question. There's been a lot of attention on that question the last few days, like on X, other places, because CoinMarketCap just added Caspa to the Made in America category,
Which
right?
means it'll probably be in the strategic stockpile alongside Cardano. I
Well,
know
that
I'm sounding antagonistic, but just because you didn't say it doesn't mean that it's not true. And you just said that it was just added, right? So it wasn't there when Trump made the initial announcement.
correct. And the Kaspa founder has confirmed that the Trump campaign did receive, quote, sizable donations in Kaspa. So
I mean,
the
they received sizable donations in Shiba Inu too, but that's a difference in Dogecoin. But I
yeah.
mean, but I know I understand what you're saying. So the Casper founder
Mhm.
is from the U.S. Is he from the U.S. or is he a
No,
foreigner?
no, he's Israeli. I think the
But did he
logic.
create it? What did he create it when he was physically in the U.S. or was he in Israel when he created it? Because even with
No.
Solana, I believe it's based out of Sweden or Switzerland. But with Solana specifically, they built it in Switzerland or Sweden, but they had a grace period to move to the US, I believe, their
Mhm.
headquarters.
Well,
That's why they're considered a made in US project.
this relates back to the blanket topic of decentralization and how it fits with proof of work, right? Because Caspo's true fair launch. It's like saying, who's the owner of Bitcoin? What country is he from? When he launched it, no one really knows. There's a lot of theories, but
And even Dogecoin, where basically it's a made in America project, but the I mean there were two people, one in Australia and the other one in the US,
Mhm,
but the one in Australia was the one that basically he didn't do the coding. He used some format to fork Bitcoin or Litecoin or something. But yeah,
mhm.
there's a lot of nuances around Bitcoin specifically, but I get what you're saying. I think.
Yeah. Huh?
I think I get what you're saying.
Well, and I mentioned that because I think that Binance, because Binance owns CoinMarketCap, yeah. I think their logic there is the majority of Caspa is mined and produced in the United States. So that makes sense to me that it would be a US based cryptocurrency. Most of it is produced here.
Well, hopefully that means that once Texas becomes the world capital of mining, which it's already on its way to doing, Bitcoin will be considered a made in the US cryptocurrency as well. But just
Mhm.
to move along, what are your predictions for Caspa's price per token and the total market cap? First, give me price per token and total market cap that you believe through for the rest of the cycle, however long that might be. December this year, January, March next year, and then give me one for like 2029, 2030.
Mhm.
First,
So
give me the one for now. Price per token and market cap.
okay, you hit me with I was ready for price.
Sorry for that. But
I
it's more
need
exciting that way, isn't it?
yeah, it is with the market cap. I gotta think about it for a minute. I can
And
get into
listen, don't be afraid to say something like 3 trillion because sure, the whole market. No, hear me out. The whole market cap right now is the height of it is like 3.4 trillion. But let's be
Mhm,
realistic. By the end of the cycle, or at least by 2030, the whole market is probably going to be around like 20 to 30 trillion. And with all the new altcoins coming up and all the competition, Bitcoin's going to have 50% of that max. So it's
mhm.
okay to tell me I don't know the price per token of Caspa is going to be at whatever price, and then oh yeah, by 2027 it'll be at 5 trillion. That's okay. That no, we're not here to judge.
Yeah, no problem. So I've got, and it's not financial advice. I've got a tentative range from the very conservative low end top this year at 22 cents per coin. all the way up to 70 cents or more. I don't think we see a lot more than dollar 50 this year. Anything can
That's this
happen.
year. So most likely, the best case scenario, like everything is just perfect. You see a dollar by December, by January 1st, 2026, is what you're saying.
If we have ideal market adoption conditions this year, I would say at least a dollar.
Good. And where would that put the market cap at?
Um, I like to compare it to the Cardano all-time high market cap.
Probably not a good idea. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. People that are from the Cardano community. I'm joking. I'm joking. Go
Well,
ahead.
it's because there's almost the same amount of total supply, so and similar decentralization, so the market fundamentals are comparable. So it's not a bad reference point. So it capped out. Um, let's see here, all-time high. Well, let's just say right now, even let's forget about past. Let's say right now, Cardano's sitting at 26 billion market cap, right? Kaspa's been fluctuating from 2 to 4 billion. It in the last year overall it's hung around 4 billion. So let's
That's not
say,
bad for a project that came out in 2021, by the way. But go ahead.
yeah, let's say, well, for a fair launch non-venture capital project,
Oh,
especially.
you're taking a stab at Solana. Well, we were live. Things happen. Don't worry. So we're taking a stab at Solana. I get it. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, so that would be a factor if it was to reach 24 billion. That'd be a 6x in market cap, and that
More than
could
doable. Very doable.
happen. People are saying 6, 7x price is like a very average prediction for Caspa, and I think the
Then
market cap.
I would say,
Um,
based on the fact that you guys actually have pretty good marketing, because remember, I'm not about the tech. I no, I love the tech, but in terms of price, I'm always thinking, hey, technology is great, but marketing and partnerships are even more important. You guys have the partnerships down, and you guys have some pretty cool tech, which we'll talk about later. That can lead to marketing, and if you know what I mean. But sorry, continue on your track. I think you can 10x. So maybe that's a dollar 20 per token. I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
yeah, 10x is viable within at around the next 2 years. There's I
So you're
think
saying
there's
like towards that you're saying if the market cycle extends past January, February next year, then you can see a 10x the first
eh,
quarter of next year, potentially
there's
2026.
there's so many unknowns, right? So Caspa melted faces and then some through Bitcoin's bear market. So at times Caspa decouples and vastly outperforms Bitcoin even through the last year since that bear and since we've shifted to the green. Caspa is still outperformed and even decoupled increasingly more the decoupling from Bitcoin price in the last few months. And that's where I wanted to talk more about halvings again. In that Kaspa supply technically halves once a year, right? A factor of 1/12 of the total mining output per month is reduced, so that
So does
equates
that
to.
mean that it has the same effect that the situation, Bitcoin has the same exact effect on the bit that the Bitcoin having has on Bitcoin, right? And maybe the reason why it outperformed Bitcoin during the bear market is because it had its own halvings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm developing a chart, an ongoing like thesis chart on Caspa that tries to compartmentalize it into 6-month cycles because Bitcoin's 4-year halving pretty much puts it in 2-year cycles where it goes up for 2 years, down for 2 years, give or take 4 months, right?
Definitely.
Um, yeah, so I'm finding with Caspa, it's got kind of its own 6-month cycle that it follows Bitcoin price action, but increasingly it does its own thing, which is super interesting.
Okay,
actually.
so give me this just to speed things up a little bit because I know you're on the west coast, I'm on the east coast. I want to make sure that you have enough time to rest up and have some emails to get to.
Mhm.
Total market cap, you did that short term. Okay, 2029, 2030. Give me some moon boy shit.
Uh,
Like I know we can't. It could be the total market cap for all we know. Raul Paul says $100 trillion. Who knows?
right,
If game theory kicks in, that might be a possibility. I know that we do not know, but give me some moon boy scenarios. I'll give you
right.
something crazy. Caspa at $10 per token with a 15 trillion market cap. I'm just gonna give you some moon boy shit because again, if we're at $100 trillion, I'm calling $10 per token at 15 trillion. What say you?
I think we could see a 250 billion market cap, and then not long after that, an Ethereum flippening. Perhaps there's rumors and whispers of that being a thing,
Well, in Ethereum
especially
flippening, that means that Ethereum's at like 400 trillion. I mean, so far, sorry, 400 billion right now, right? So I mean, that's now, right? I
Ethereum
mean,
what?
if you talk to me, I don't even know if Ethereum's gonna. I personally even think Ethereum's gonna be in the top three. I think it's gonna be Bitcoin, XRP, Solana. I'm just saying.
I
So
think these will be top 5 or 6 in the next like 3 to 4 years. I'd agree, and that's case in point to what you're saying.
Casper would take over in that kind of a scenario.
That and ETH has dropped to 227 bill, right? So it's
Really?
hard.
Oh my god! I don't know. I don't even own an Ethereum. I don't pay attention to it. Oh
Yeah,
wow! Wow! Damn. Well, I
yeah,
mean, if the SEC decides today or tomorrow, no more Ripple case, XRP is gonna shoot past that, huh?
yeah,
Because you better.
yeah,
XRP goes to
yeah.
$4 right now, and Ethereum stands still. But go ahead, Caspa. Give me the Moonboy scenario for 2029, brother.
Yeah, so 2029, let's say it's already flirted with 250 billion, in the last year or two. It's been a top 10 mainstay for at least a year. And then, some mega bullish catalyst occurs. It could easily start closing on half a trillion or more by then. It's and that is very Moon Boy because it's sitting at like 46 market cap right now.
According to current market conditions, that is very Moonboy, correct. But in 2014, to say Bitcoin's going to hit $110,000, you know, in 2020, 2024, that would have
Yeah.
been equally some moon bullshit. Remember, every time that we have a halving, the market cap of Bitcoin drops because at first it was just Bitcoin. Then it was Bitcoin
Mhm.
Litecoin, right? Then you have more and more projects. You're gonna have the Solana's XRPs, right? You had Yahoo. Yahoo,
Right.
nobody uses Yahoo, everybody uses Google now. Nobody uses MySpace. Everybody uses Facebook. Nobody
Right.
uses Nokia. They all use iPhone or a Samsung. So
Yeah.
technology happens. Okay,
And that's
so sorry.
real quick. That's why sometimes I'll compare Caspa to other top software companies' market caps for my longer term outlook and analysis. Because Caspa is built upon and around the tech and community thereof, right? So it's like look at Apple iOS, look at other top software companies. You know, 4 billion market cap is peanuts. That's tiny, and with the groundbreaking first mover tech with the block DAG, 4 billion just seems small. Looking at other software that isn't even as revolutionary, that's just big because it's traded publicly in the traditional stock market.
All right. So you're gonna like this one. When do you don't give me an exact date, just give me an idea. Do you think that Casper will break into the top 10 this cycle?
Mhm.
This is the 2020, let's call it the 2025, 2026 cycle, because I think it extends into next year before we
Right.
hit the shortest in my opinion, bear market in crypto
Hmm.
history because we have the game they're playing out. Do you think 2025, 2026 it hits the top 10, or do you think that it'll hit the top 10 by the next cycle, 2028, 2029, 2030.
I think it definitely could. I think if there's any top 50 that could, let's say if there's any top 30 to 50 market cap coin right now that realistically will, it is Kaspa. It's got the most bullish catalysts upcoming. It's on only one tier one exchange right now, so it's lacking that massive adoption base that comes with like a Binance listing, a Coinbase listing. It's still pending those because they have to accumulate. They can't cut a deal with the founders. Like they have to buy it themselves.
Hey,
So
decentralization has benefits and its positives and its negatives. That's a positive for Caspa.
yeah,
I like that. I like
it
that a
is
lot.
it is now because the Binance listing is rumored like any day now. Really,
It's still not listed on Binance,
no.
the biggest exchange in the world. Oh man, you guys are going way past that. If it gets listed on Binance, I'm saying Caspa to the top 10 probably next week.
Pretty much, man. I just don't see any other mid caps in the top 50, 100 that have so many bullish catalysts. They're going to launch smart contracts in the summer after they upgrade to 10 blocks per second this month. And then they're pushing to 100 blocks per second maybe next year.
That can be really bullish. But so you think it'll happen? It could happen this cycle, but most definitely by next cycle.
Well, when you consider that last year it hung in and around top 25, like 4 or 5 months, it would stay in there for a few weeks, maybe it dropped back to 30, and then it hit like number 24 or so.
The best projects
Um,
do that. The ones that have really good fundamentals, we call it the top 10 replay. I have a video coming out on that in the future.
mhm.
Not this is not the day for that, but yeah, it can do a top 25 market replay, and then from there it goes boom.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So um, let me set the stage here. Ethereum prior to 2020, right before you had the Solanas, the Sui's, like let's make our own blockchain. Most projects were just made on the Ethereum standard. It was called the ERC-20 standard, which is easier. That's what Ethereum was basically made for.
Right.
Web3, making websites, hosting them on the Ethereum blockchain, making DApps, decentralized autonomous organizations where you can vote, voting rights,
Mhm.
real world assets. But the best case scenario was actually making crypto projects on it. The biggest ERC-20 token, by the way, in the world is Shiba Inu.
Ah,
But
uh,
that is the token that's keeping it afloat. But we're not here for that. That's the whole ecosystem of Ethereum is being kept afloat because of Shiba Inu. Kind of like the same thing for Solana, right? You have the standard for Solana where you can go on Phantom, you can make tokens, right?
mhm.
Kaspa has its own version of what we call the ERC-20 standard, where you can build on it. What's that called?
Yeah, KRC-20.
KRC-20. Okay, so you have something that you built a project in KRC-20, which I'm a fan of because I'm a fan of who it's based upon. I'm gonna let you take the floor and talk about it.
Yeah, so it's a community project, right? We have a treasury that holds like 10% of it, but the rest is minted by and mintable for the community. It's 89% community mintable. And we are increasingly burning the treasury wallet. So the eventual vision is just for me to have a very minimal, like maybe like 0.1% of the supply or something, like once we're like 5 years into this thing and I'm done like stimulating the economy with it and trading volume and all that, by then I could have maybe 0.1% in it. So it truly is a community based project. That's what's huge about it because it's ultimately it's Snowden token on Cash. But what's unique with that, no one else can take the Snowden ticker. That's how KRC-20 did something, a couple of things, right? One of those is you can't have identical tickers. So we have the Snowden ticker. We are the Snowden token on Caspa.
Yep.
Um, and it's all in a effort to bring awareness to Edward Snowden's situation and push for a fair trial for him here in the United States. Right now, his charges involve death penalty and no defense thereof. He can't stage a defense for himself, which is ridiculous. So those charges should be stricken down, and they should bring forward new ones or pardon him. Give the guy a fair shot. You know, a lot of people, myself included, are inclined to feel that he's an American hero who just you know, it embarrassed some people that they were spying on others, breaking the Constitution, and he exposed them. That's the theory as to why he's still exiled and no one wants to talk about him in the mainstream media.
We'll eventually get him back home because what he did, he's actually a lot of us consider him an American superhero
Right,
because of what
right.
he did. He exposed that the government was spying on us, which sure 9/11 they had the Patriot Act, they could do it to a certain extent, but they can't just fully spy on us and spy on all our Brazil and all their other allies. But yeah, we're not here to talk too much about politics. But before I let you go, I want to ask you one more question. Are we going to meet first in New York City, or am I gonna have to go to the West Coast?
Uh, I
What's your prediction?
I think somewhere in between, whether that's like the Midwest or Utah or
You want to meet
something.
Chicago?
I don't. I would venture it. I just unless if you're like itching to come out to the West Coast, that would be easiest. But I'm big on meeting people halfway.
Hey,
So we'll
listen,
maybe.
if you've been to Utah, we'll talk about it offline, but I'm not sure if you've been to Utah, but I've never been to Utah. And that's a state that I want to go to. I heard about all the pink lakes and all the cool stuff, and the Winter Olympics is going to be there again. It was there in the mid 90s. I remember that as a kid. But I'm going to let you go, brother. Let's talk offline, all right? Let's
Yeah,
sign out for now.
definitely, man.
So, with that being said, brother, upward and onwards. Thank you for the Casper introduction, all right?
Yes, sir. Take care now.
Well, let's have you on for part two later or some other time in the future. Ciao.
Alrighty.